¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos a De Película, en un programa súper especial desde aquí, desde Sacsayhuamán, con nuestra invitada, Susan Sarandon. Welcome, Susan. Bienvenida.
Thank you.
How do you like this place? What are your impressions? ¿Qué te ha parecido el lugar?
It's an amazing feat of tenacious building. I don't know. We were very impressed with how it was put together, and it's so beautiful to go up to the top and see the city below. So I was really happy we got such a gorgeous day.
Nos ha tocado un día muy lindo, dice Susan. Es realmente impresionante el lugar. Unas piedras enormes que ella se pregunta cómo han logrado ponerlas uno junto a la otra. Y por supuesto estamos en un templo donde se hacían sacrificios, pero todos los detalles de esta visita de Susan Sarandon a Cusco en el siguiente reportaje, donde también tenemos la entrevista exclusiva. Thank you, Susan, for coming.
Thank you for having us. Hola, Peru.
Ganadora del Oscar a Mejor Actriz Principal por la película Pena de Muerte y protagonista de Quédate a mi lado, Thelma y Luis, y Bailemos, entre muchas otras, la famosa actriz Susan Sarandon, quien es una de las mujeres más respetadas e influyentes de Hollywood, llegó al Perú y disfrutó de 8 días recorriendo nuestro país gracias a una invitación de Prom Perú. Estamos en Suazi, en Puno, con Susan Sarandon en la única entrevista que ha concedido en Perú. Hola, Susan.
Hola, Veronica.
Welcome to Peru.
Thank you, gracias, and thank you to Prom Peru for all the accommodations and taking such good care of us.
Well, how have you liked Peru until now?
Well, it's been fabulous. I hadn't any real knowledge of what to expect, except for the occasional llama or something, and it's been wonderful to see so many different types of places.
I noticed that you and your guests have really enjoyed Peruvian cuisine.
We've tried everything from pig's brain to guinea pigs to chocolates, everything, and much too much of it, because we couldn't say no, so we just kept eating and eating, and when we've been trying to acclimatize to the change in altitude, it's been very difficult to digest as much as we've eaten, but we couldn't stop because it was just so delicious.
But you haven't heard before about Peruvian cuisine?
I had no idea what Peruvian cuisine was like, so I'm sure you have a good restaurant in New York you could recommend for me.
Your bar?
Yes, we could put it in the bar, definitely. We have to get a cookbook and bring that back to New York for my club.
I'll give you the book, I promise.
All right, that sounds good.
How do you see Peru as a touristic destiny?
Well, I would definitely recommend. I don't think it's something that you come and spend 4 days. I think you really, in order to get the feeling and see, just it's so varied that you'd have to spend, I'd say, more than a week.
Let me see that you have seen nothing yet, like the song says.
That's true. I mean, every little bit of it, look at this, it's just unbelievably beautiful here. And I was very pleasantly surprised by how much thought has been given to ecotourism and making sure that all the beautiful islands and aren't worn away by tourism.
Susan pasó un día en Lima y luego partimos a Cusco. Visitó la fortaleza de Sacsayhuamán, donde recibió el cariñoso saludo de la gente.
Thank you so much.
I love you! I love you! I love you, Peru!
Gracias. Thank you for having me.
Susan comparó Sacsayhuamán con algunas de las ruinas más importantes del mundo.
You know, I've been to the pyramids, and I think that that's as much of a marvel, just trying to understand how those stones could move and the design and everything is so sophisticated.
El recorrido continuó hacia el Valle Sagrado del Urubamba, que según Susan tiene una energía especial. Allí el plan fue de descanso y diversión. Llegó la hora de los caballos de paso y nos animamos a montar. Las tejedoras de chincheros le mostraron a Susan los secretos de su arte. De Cusco seguimos a Puno, donde Susan y sus invitados no podían creer lo que vieron cuando llegamos a la isla de los Uros. Un escenario natural maravilloso donde desde lejos resaltan los intensos colores de la ropa de sus habitantes.
Surreal, really. I just kept thinking, who was the first person that thought to go down and cut the roots and rope it together, and then more families came? I mean, how did that even happen? That's the strangest, most remarkable thing. And Janet, who was the young woman, she's 19 and she has a 5-year-old, and she took us to her house and dressed us up, and she was just so generous. And I have to say that everywhere we've gone, people have been really sweet to me, the people that have recognized me. I mean, I don't think they knew who I was, but
Susan, al igual que uno de sus invitados, Eduardo Hanna, quien llegó desde República Dominicana para acompañarla en este viaje, se vistieron con la ropa típica de los habitantes del lugar. Luego nos sentamos para aprender más sobre las costumbres de estas islas flotantes. Están construidas en base a totora seca, que se trenza y se llega a convertir en un material tan sólido y compacto que constituye el piso de la isla. En este mismo material construyen sus casas y todos sus muebles. Tirando una piedra atada a una pita a través de un hueco que había en el suelo, nuestros anfitriones nos demostraron que debajo de la isla hay 17 metros de agua. De los Uros seguimos hacia Taquile, donde los habitantes nos contaron algunos secretos. Por ejemplo, que en su isla nadie es calvo. Según ellos, gracias a un shampoo que preparan moliendo hierbas de la zona en un batán y que lo mezclan con agua, produciéndose una espuma. Con esa mezcla lavaron un poco de lana y quedó demostrado que efectivamente limpia. Los pobladores le contaron a Susan que el divorcio en la isla no está permitido. Por eso están obligados a convivir antes de casarse.
We probably should have done what they do on the floating island and lived together for 3 years before we got married.
Nos enseñaron también sus tejidos y les compramos algunas cosas. El que más entusiasmó fue Miles, quien compró un chullo que usó mucho durante el resto del viaje. Para Susan, en cambio, los chullos no son novedad. Me contó que cada día los ve más en las calles de Nueva York. De Taquile continuamos hacia Suazi, una isla privada que está muy cerca a la frontera con Bolivia. Un escenario natural maravilloso donde pasamos 2 días de relax y descanso. Para entonces ya teníamos 5 días juntas y decidimos que era un buen momento para hacer la entrevista. De Susan Sarandon como actriz lo sabemos casi todo, así que decidimos explorar su lado personal.
Why didn't you and Tim never get married?
I always felt that, well, I didn't marry Eva's father either. I was with him. I just always felt that marriage was something that made it easier for you to take the other person for granted. And that if I was going to stay with somebody, I wanted to wake up every morning and make that decision, not because of a ceremony. But of course, if you're with somebody for over 20 years, it's like, and you have children in real estate, that's like being married anyway, I suppose.
Children and real estate.
Yes, the two things that make people fight it out to the bitter end.
What kind of people do you avoid?
Boring people and people who feel they have all the answers and don't ask any questions.
How do you react when you get hurt?
I guess I try to understand why, that hurt me, and either try to avoid it, or most of the time when you're hurt, I think that it has a lot to do with ego, and if you don't have so much invested in your ego, then it's not easy to hurt you. So I think if my feelings are hurt or my vanity is hurt, then you have to sit down and say, well, that's your ego, isn't it? And try to just let go.
Which sometimes it's not very easy to...
It's not very easy. No, it's not very easy. Of course not. It's not easy, but,
Have you gone through therapy sometime?
When I was 27 or 25 about, I went into therapy and for a while, and that was really interesting. And now because I'm going through all this life changes now, I've started talking to someone just to get perspective. I think that all of life is just about having perspective.
Is it easy for you to forgive?
It's easy for me to forgive when people do something to me, but it's not easy for me to forgive when they do something to my children. I have to say, I'm a much smaller person in that area. There are some people with who I have forgiven, but who I still don't trust. So I don't necessarily want to have them as friends anymore. But I've forgiven them because everybody makes mistakes, and I understand that. But it doesn't mean that I can go back to trusting them the way that I did before they made that mistake.
If you would have a surgery, a plastic surgery, would you say it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'd say it. I mean, I have nothing against plastic surgery. I had something taken out from under my eyes a number of years ago, but what I don't like is stuff that really changes the way people look, you know, that really extreme kind of surgery. Well, yeah, where it's, you know, somebody really doesn't look like themselves anymore and they all start looking the same. And also, it looks like a frightened person to me.
Or too much Botox and the eyes look like this?
Yeah, I'm afraid of Botox because I need my face, as you can see by my deep furrows, I need my face to be able to move.
I read once, I don't know if it's true, that so many directors have problems because of unexpressive faces because of too much Botox.
I've been reading that lately too, that there are a number of people that have in positions to be playing big parts that directors don't want to use because there's something strange when a person's crying and nothing's moving in their face, but their mouth and their eyes are tearing. There's something kind of unnatural about it, and you can't quite figure out what it is, and that's what it is.
When was the last time you cried, except in the allergy today?
Except my allergies. I cry when I'm moved more than when I am sad. When I'm sad, I kind of get stronger, but I cried when Miles sings sometimes, you know, when I see him on stage performing, or my daughter. I remember when we did an episode of Friends together when she was 15, and I burst into tears at the curtain call because it was the first time that she did a really big professional job. So I cry because of things like that. Someone gives me a gift and it's really moving, I start crying.
The one thing that you would erase from Earth?
The one thing that I would erase from Earth, well, I don't know. It's, I guess, poverty, but ignorance, because unless you educate people, you continue to have poverty. So they're kind of both contained in one.
I tell you one word and you tell me how you feel about it.
Just a short answer.
Fear.
Fear. Acceptable.
Passion.
Let's see. Necessary.
Freedom.
You're right. Necessary. It's
Politics.
a nightmare, I would say.
Why?
Because it's so corrupt and it's so dishonest, and it's become it's very, very difficult to accomplish things politically. Change never happens from the top. It always happens because of the bottom, people at the bottom pushing for what is just and what is fair and what is necessary. And so I believe in people. I don't believe in politics.
One last word. Peru.
Peru. Great food, great landscape, great people, friendly people. And I think probably so much more that I haven't even seen.
For next time.
For next time, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Susan.
you so much, and thank you for having my family and myself. Yes, fabulous. Okay.
Les mando un beso, que tengan una súper buena semana y nos encontramos el próximo domingo. Chao, chao.